All right, good morning, everybody. The Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District Number 35 Governing Board calls this meeting to order on July 14, 2026 at 8 a.m. in the Governing Boardroom, District Office 570, Lito Galindo, Camino Lito Galindo, Rio Rico, Arizona. Can we please stand for the pledge? Mr. Lopez, will you do the honors?
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, thank you. Roll call, Ms. Alma de la Riva. Present. Mr. Brad Beach. Mr. Rene Ramirez. Absent, okay. Mr. Ben Guerrero.
Present.
And me, Lourdes Vasquez, we do have a quorum. Adoption of the agenda,
I don't recommend changes, thank you.
no recommend, any call to the public?
No.
You have to adopt.
Oh, I have to, okay, motion.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion passes. I always do that, huh? Call to the public.
Call to the public.
Alrighty, moving on, presentation. Superintendent's report, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. As we come to the end of the summer, we're prepped and ready for the school year. Want to thank, you see the administrators that are here. We started our training yesterday for administrators heading into the new school year. I also wanted to thank all of the coaches and things that have been working this summer. It's been very, very active. You look on our Facebook page and other things, you just see all the different things that are happening, from wrestling to basketball, football, flag football, all the different things, cross country, all things that are happening. I know dance started this week, and I was just shocked how long they go. I think they go like 8-10 hours just dancing and working, exercising. And so it's you know, always, you know why they're state champs and why they do great things is because they put in the time and effort. So I just want to congratulate all the coaches and things that are doing things this summer, because it seems like it never ends for those staff members. So I just want to say thank you to them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Governing Board member report, Ms. Alma de la Riva.
Yes, just one thing. Although I was unable to attend, I do want to give a big shout out to Angie for putting together the Back to School Blitz. It was through social media that I saw just what a great event that was, and I think she does a great job putting that together. I saw so many different organizations, community organizations participating, and I just think that's awesome. So shout out to you, Ms. Angie.
Teamwork, yes, thank you very much. Mr. Brad Beach.
Yes, just like Superintendent Verdugo, yeah, this district never sleeps. I helped out with the wrestling camp this summer, the 2-week camp. Volleyball girls were down there, people going down to the track. It was just a very active summer for coaches that should take a little time off, but they're out there still grinding. So good job to them. Hopefully everybody had a good break, a little mental breather. Went to Montana, almost got chased by a bear. Angie's looking a little darker from Rocky Point. Hopefully everybody took a little bit of mental breather, time for yourself, time to reflect. And yeah, seems like the break went like this. So back to the grind. So good luck, everybody. And let's get after it. 2026, 2027.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Thank you very much. Mr. Ben?
I have nothing to report.
You have nothing to report. All right. Okay. Well, I just, everything that everybody said, of course, I just wanted to, to congratulate everybody for everything that they're doing, for all of the, like they said, the summer went by like nothing. And still, all of you go to the schools, and all the schools are always very active and all that stuff. So, that just tells you what a great community we have, what a great, just the schools are all fantastic. Thank you to all of the principals and all of the teachers and everybody that does everything to make this such a good place to be. And plus, good luck to everybody. I know that there's changes. Good luck to you, Miss Rivas. Good luck to you. I can't wait to go see, everything that's going on over there. And Mr. John, Chavez also, I still want to go see the school because of the facelift that it got, and I know that there's a lot of construction going on over there and stuff, but, again, congratulations to everybody for everything that you guys do, and, again, everything that everybody said, and let's just make this a fantastic year again. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, information, discussion, action, release of contract of Ms. Shweta Dubey, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. Does any want to go into executive session? Otherwise, we would just you here.
Does anybody want to go into executive session? Ms. De La Riva? No, Mr. Beach? No, no, I don't either, so, okay.
So the recommendation is to release Ms. Dubey from the contract, but assess the liquidated damages. We do not have a person to fill. And I confirm with Mr. Chavez that his recommendation is to assess the damages.
Assess the damages, okay, so do we have a motion?
Motion to release Ms. Shweta Dubey from her 2026-27 contract and assess liquidated damages in the amount of $3,000.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Oh, second, sorry. Did anybody second it?
Yep.
Yes, all right, thank you very much, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, I'm very sad about this, but okay. Fiscal year 2027 budget adoption, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Brown. Last board meeting, presentation, budget, and so it is our first vote to adopt the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. Good morning, Madam President, members of the board, administration. Today we come with the request to adopt the budget. The budget has no changes from the version that I presented to you back on June 23rd. A reminder, we are moving forward with the preliminary forms. That's what I presented to you as a proposed. That is exactly what I bring back to adopt. And then I will come back before September 15th to do a revision and put the budget into the final forms. So unless the board has any questions, just to highlight the budget grand total for operating fund, it's $43.6 million. Part of those $43.6 million is a 9% M&O override at $2 million. The capital fund for district additional assistance, $4 million. Are there any questions?
Okay, any questions, Ms. De La Riva?
None.
None, Mr. Beach?
I have none.
Mr. Rivera? I have none either, thank you very much. So do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 2026-27 budget adoption as presented by the business office.
Second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. Moving on, 2026-2027 tax rate, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. This is something that we annually bring to the board, and the board approves what we recommend, but it is the county supervisors that end up final approval for what our recommended tax rates are. I'm not going to steal Ms. Brown's thunder because I think it's good news. And so I'll let her share that information with the board, and then we can have a discussion after that. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Verdugo. So yes, just to echo what Ms. Verdugo has mentioned, the ultimate responsibility to adopt the tax rates lies with our county board of supervisors. Okay, but we always bring this to you before we take it and before they take any action. Because while it's their responsibility to adopt them, we calculate them. So we provide them with that recommendation. As a reminder to you and those in attendance, our districts have primary tax rate. And then we have a secondary tax rate, which is a tax rate. Can we advance the presentation, please? I have a clicker, right?
Yes.
Sorry. The secondary tax rate is into play when a school district receives additional funding that goes above and beyond our budget limits. Remember that our budget, the one that we just adopted, is defined by a formula and it calculates a limit, a maximum, right? And that's based on the number of kids that we serve, the number of students that we have enrolled. We cannot go past that limit. When the district identifies a need to go above and beyond that limit, then we go out to our community. And that's where we seek bonds. We need, if we have the need to expand our facilities or enhance our facilities for our communities, or an override if we have the need to want to add programs or enhance the programs that we're offering. And that's the case in our district. In our district, we have those two measures in place. We have the bond for all the construction that we know and we are now benefiting from. And we also have a 9% override, which allows us to extend that limit in the override by 9%, which is a 2 million that I just shared with you. On the other hand, the other secondary rate that we have as a district is for participation in PIMA seated. But that I don't have to calculate. That one is prescribed in statute as 0.05. So, and obviously one of the key elements on calculating the tax rates is the assessed valuation. That is one of the main elements in how we calculate the assessed valuation. And I shared with you on the screen, the total of the assessed valuation for our district is right there. And it represents a 5.5 increase from the prior year. And that has been the trend. I look in the last 5 years, we've been just growing. The assessed valuation has been increased every year. And it fluctuates between a 4% and a 5%. And that has been the case in the last 5 years. Just again, where the formula dollars come from. The formula is what I just shared with you, which is the budget. And now we need to fund that budget, right? So based on the assessed valuation, we do a calculation and then determine how much money is going to come from the state in the form of state aid and how much money is going to come from our local taxpayers, just for the budget. And that is the primary rate, okay? So there's that combined contribution towards the budget limit. Then we have, to give you an example, there are just a handful of school districts across the state where the assessed valuation is so high that it is what they collect in taxes, it's enough to fund their budget in its entirety. They do not collect any state aid. Obviously, not our case, but there are some districts, not a lot of them, but there are just a handful of them that do not receive any state aid. Their community alone, based on the property values, they can fund their budget 100%. So it has this inverse relationship with the tax rate, the assessed valuation. When the assessed valuation increases, your primary rate decreases, right? And vice versa. To give you an idea on that share and how much for our district comes from the state versus how much our local taxpayers contribute to the primary, we captured 74% comes from the state in the form of state aid, and the difference comes from our local taxpayers. But I'm not talking secondary rate, it's just primary to fund or basic budget limit. All right, now we're gonna move outside of that budget limit, and we're gonna take a look at what the community is funding above and beyond that limit. I mentioned that we have a 9% override, and that's how much is going to captured next year, the 2 million that I just mentioned to you. The cost to our taxpayers to provide that funding to us for this fiscal year 27 is 0.8727, okay? We are not using any cash on hand to offset the cost of the override this year. And the rate falls well below what we projected in the border information pamphlet of 1.19. Then on the other hand, we have our bond payment or obligation to start paying back for those buildings, all that construction. The payment that we have for this fiscal year is 1.4 billion. The cost or the levy in order to make that obligation is 0.5857. Once again, that rate is well below the projected rate in the border information pamphlet of 168. And then last but certainly not least is the contribution to the participation of the PIMA seated. And like I mentioned, that is defined by statute. Okay. So just a brief comparison. I talked about on the pink box, you'll find the rates for the last fiscal year, 25-26. And in the green or teal box, you'll find the rates that are recommended for next fiscal year. Take a look at the primary rate. Notice how the primary rate dropped from 3.4 to 3.11, right? That's the result of the increase in the assessed valuation. Remember that inverse relationship? Yeah. Okay. That's where you see it. Now moving on into the secondary rate, the bond, the payment the override is, last year was 0.8811, this year 0.8727. Okay, so I'm gonna pause there for a moment. Because why is the override a little bit less expensive this year? It's because also our enrollment has dropped. ¿Vale? And the override responds to the number of kids that we have enrolled. That's how we calculate how much we're going to receive. So if our enrollment is dropping, then our revenue control limit is dropping, and then I apply the 9%, it makes the override a little bit lower than the prior year, making it less expensive. Okay. The debt service payment, the levy assessed last year was 0.5918. This year, 0.5857. Jay did the same. Okay. So on the combined rate last year was 4.9312. This year, we're going down to 4.6201. The variance is a negative 0.311. Okay, so our tax rate is dropping for this coming fiscal year, for this fiscal year.
Before we leave there, just want to make sure that the board understands the change that we made of not using dead cash. Because that's something that we've traditionally done to pay down override, and we sell that to our constituents saying, we appreciate you passing this, and we're gonna lower the tax rate by using this dead cash. And we were able to lower it this year without the use of that dead cash. So what does that mean? That means that we can now continue to hold that dead cash for future use if we're able to. Because I say if we're able, because of what's happening with the embezzlement and the Guthrie case. And so that was one of the other reasons I think it's left for thinking of that ahead of time, is that we want to, one, keep it for future use, because we're going to have to go for redo our override in a few years. And so that allows us, but also we don't know what the future holds with that dead cash. And so keeping our tax rates balanced and as low as possible consistently is something that we've always tried to do. And I want to thank you, Sela, for continuing to do that.
Yeah. I always like to highlight what this means to a taxpayer, right? And I'm obviously just isolating the exercise or the example, the illustration to our tax rate. And sometimes I get calls where they say, Sela, I saw your presentation and it says that my tax is going to go down. And I says, yes, but your total tax is the sum of multiple entities, right? So I'm just talking about the one that we have control. So keep that in mind, please. So last year, with the tax rate, the average home value within our boundaries, right, was 154,273, and that same in that taxpayer contributed towards the district 760.75 cents. Same taxpayer, a year later, now the average home went up to 162,661, and I apply the new tax rate. Now that homeowner is going to contribute toward district 751.50.
So basically, it did go down.
Yeah, it does go down. Remember that adverse effect as well, and that's something that we, especially when we go and we present to the two-back constituents, their valuation has increased significantly, and so even though the rate may have gone down, they may see an increase because of their valuation, and so that's what we have to explain, is that your valuation went up, so you might pay more, even though the rate is lower.
It's another way of looking historically at where our tax rate has been. And just to highlight the loss allocation, which we can't forget about that. That was the 14 million that was allocated to our district. It is being recorded in Fund 565, which is a litigation recovery. It will remain in there until we receive the final recovery amount is determined. And any unrecovered funds will then be transferred to the operating or capital fund. At that point, the district will evaluate whether a levy is needed to recover any remaining shortfalls. And we've said this in the past in numerous occasions in a number of public meetings, that if that is the case, at that point, the district will request the county to levy on our behalf instead of us imposing them. Nothing has changed. We've only received one payment back. So the loss went from 14 million down to 12 million, 12.1. I have requested updates and I see none. Are there any questions?
Okay, any questions, Ms. De La Riva? Mr. Beach?
Yeah, without the override, we'd have to cut programs, correct?
Yes,
So,
Lily.
yeah, I'm just wondering in the future, if the taxpayers not pass another override, that we might get too many programs where we're gonna have to, in the future, sort of trim down or cut back. That's one of my worries. So I don't know if you could.
So in the override, we have $2 million worth of programs, right? We have the staffing for the aquatic center, comes out of the support for CTE, media techs, so support for our libraries or our media centers. We have kinder teachers, half of their salary is funded through the override. We have our communication specialist position that was created with the override. Our off-season stipends, all the activities that you just saw and the fields that you were referencing, it's funded through the override. So yes, Mr. Beach, there are a number of programs that we would have to look at and prioritize.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we right size every year, trying to figure out what our M&O will be, because that's obviously 80% of our budget is salaries and benefits. So every year we go through that process, and we can't count on the override. You know, as we really appreciate our constituents and them continuing to vote for it, and that's the other reason that it's a good thing that we're able to continue the tax rates without the cash at this point, because if we're able to, in a few years when we have to go back out for the override, we'll be able to again share with the constituents that will lower it using that cash if we're able to. And that's the way we've been able to maintain lower tax rates.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to let the board know that the override, if it doesn't pass, cuts might have to come down. But also, as a community member, once we have it in our budget, we're sort of used to it. So I'm hoping the override will continue funding these programs. Now go ahead.
The other thing that I want to remind the board is that our override is not a high override, right? Districts have the option to request up to 15% of the for an override. We were at 5% for a while, then we went to 7%, now at 9%. But it's not a big override at all. But yeah, you're right. It will definitely mean we would have to make adjustments to the operation if the community decides to stop supporting the override. Sure.
Thank you. Also on the final recovery amount for the Guthvar suit, I guess we're going through. If the county does not levy and take responsibility for that, I call it sort of their mess up. How would it look if they didn't with our finances going forward from there? Like if it was placed on us, our burden.
Then we would have to, let's say that we don't recover one more. Let's just play with the numbers that we have in front of us today. So we have a cash deficit of $12 million. And the county says, I'm not gonna do nothing and I'm not going to impose a levy. I would have to move that deficit into M&O, the capital fund that can have the capacity. At that point, you have absolutely no dead cash, right? It's completely eliminated. And then we would have a deficit of about $2 million in the override fund, which we cannot override with the deficit. We would have to be registering warrants. It's like tapping into a line of credit.
Right.
And then that creates an expense. And then I would have to levy for that expense the following year. So one way or the other, our community would have to be paying for that.
And
It doesn't stop the operation in any new shape or form. It doesn't reduce or budget limit in any way or form. Okay, because for sometimes some districts were thinking that they had to reduce their budget. Not the budget limit. This is cash. This is a cash flow issue. This is not a budget issue.
Right.
it does put the burden on our community. That's the thing, I just want, why we are adamant that it should be the county's responsibility. At that point, if they choose not to, then it's something that as a board, we would have to discuss the possibility of litigation. Of asking them of why they're not taking responsibility for it. And so at that point, we'd have some decisions to make.
Any word on when this is gonna be finalized?
No.
No, we've asked for updates and have not received any.
An update.
Yeah, and I know that the county is going through independent audits. I just saw that in the newspaper. And I think that's partially related to what's happening as well. So I don't even think they know what's happening at this point until those audits are complete. And that goes all the way back to forward.
Thanks, Ms. Brown.
Mr.
No questions.
No questions, yeah, okay. Now, the only thing that I have is that, and we've stressed this a lot, like you say, that we need to inform our community, about, because a lot of people don't understand that our houses now, okay, our properties now are valued higher than they were last year, okay? So therefore, even though we, the percentage, dropped and, if it was the same as last year, then we would see it. But since our homes now are worth more, so then now we have to pay more. And see, sometimes they don't understand that. They think and they blame, what's been going on and whatever, when in reality, let's say like my house was worth 120 last year. Okay, this year it's worth 160. So I'm just saying it, okay? It's just, I'm just pulling it out there. So that means that I would have to pay more because my house is worth more. It has nothing to do with what's going on.
Potentially, I wouldn't say you will.
Mhm.
It really means you really need to look at your entire tax bill.
Yeah.
And see what the other entities are doing.
Yeah, and again, it's not just one thing. It's a lot of other little things that are going on that make that, a little bit higher. So that's just the only thing that I kind of worry about, because I try to explain it when people, well, no, the taxes are still going up. No, your house value went up, in other words, the taxes went down, a little bit, not too much, but it went down. But it's something that they should understand. And a lot of people don't understand. And it's really hard to let our community know when they're like, no, my bill. In other words, they just, kind of look at the bill, and say, but why am I paying, $20 more or $30 more, whatever, which is really not a big thing, okay? But, okay, yes, more is more. Yeah, more is more. That's just the way it is,
And that's something that we always
Yes,
present.
that's.
That continue to do that. The other thing that I always tell people is you're welcome, because that school district, we are successful, and the more successful you are, the better your valuation will be.
Exactly.
If you have 4 schools, then your valuation is gonna
go down.
And so do you want your property to be worth more or
Worth more.
And so thank you for continue to support us, and hopefully we continue to be fiscally responsible and those funds in the right way.
And you can always blame Two Back Fire for their new.
Yeah, they're getting a new station.
Say, we're done, cause
Hey,
building no more.
bond rate also went down.
Yeah, even though, yeah. See, that's, like I said, that's about the only thing that I really have, is that for our community to be very well informed and, and really in black and white, so they can see what's going on and they understand it. Okay, so, but anyway, but thank you very much for everything. Okay.
And it is a action item.
Okay, so then we need to, a motion? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve the 2026, 2027 tax rates as presented by the business office.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you very much. Moving on, Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District policies.
So we are not gonna be reviewing policies, today, but, we will a couple policies to review, from a dress code again, as well as, a booster club policy. And then also wanted to inform the board as we're discussing policies, ASBA this year, changed their, membership to add policies. So, it is part of the membership. We have no choice, but to pay for, policy advisement, even though we're not going to use them. And so that would be my recommendation is that we already shifted to the trust, and we will continue with the trust because I think the board appreciates being able to use those policies and change those policies. But the cost is still going to be with our membership. And ASBA has changed, as you know, previously, as a member, we did not have to be a member to use ASBATE. Now that it's a requirement that we have to be a member to use ASBATE, which is our health insurance. And now they've added the policies as part of the membership. So it's still less than when we were previously having to pay for policies, but it's still increased the membership dues. And I just wanted to notify the board, and we can discuss that at a later time because I want to get off on the agenda item. But it just, as we're talking about policies, that is going to come up. And so again, we will have a policy discussion on the 28th.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, propose and prioritize topics as possible dates and times for future board meetings presented.
I think we have the conference this week that you'll be attending.
Yes.
Our next board meeting will be on a regular board meeting on the 28th. And then welcome back celebration on the 31st, which we hope everybody will be able to attend. First day of school, August 3rd. It's not listed here, but we will also be bringing a request for September to have a business meeting like this due to the law conference. The law conference travel day falls on the same day as well. So we'll be requesting that in September, but it's not on here. So we'll bring that back on the 8th. But future topics that the.
Any topics? Ms. Arriba? No, I have none. None, I don't either. Alrighty, so then moving on, consent agenda. Approve the consent agenda. Any matter, the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed as regular agenda item or items upon the request of any board member. Does anybody have anything to say about that? Ms. Del Riva? No? Mr. Reed? None? I don't either. Okay, so do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, accept, and ratify the consent agenda as presented.
All, 1 second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. And what else? It is adjourned, right? We are adjourned at 8:33. Thank you very, very much, everybody.